Charlie Kirk was just brutal. I wouldn't recommend watching it. I wish I didn't. I know that I give the right a lot based on different policies like that, but it should never be more than disagreements and talking to someone. A father, a husband, you shoot him because he said something you didn't like? That's how we're going to resolve our problems now? Like we don't have enough violence? This is what we're going to do now?
Breaking news. We just discovered the veil. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Did you guys know we have a veil?
Right.
All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Esoteric Atlanta. Of course, my name is Bryce, and I am here with one of my besties across the pond, Catherine Edwards, for our coffee chat. And we have a guest today, another bestie. I don't know. Can I call you my bestie? Or?
Yeah, you can call me your bestie.
He's actually in the other room. My partner, Todd, who just, before we get into it, guys, I know there's a lot we want to address, but the reason why we plan to bring Todd on today is that we're going to be talking a little bit about some of the stuff coming from the Law of One. Todd just opened up a YouTube channel called The Confused Wanderer, where he is breaking down the Law of One. As you guys know, we've talked about that a lot on my channel, and I think the Law of One really can help people get out of this junk conspiracy cul-de-sac that the truther community has landed in hardcore. So please make sure you subscribe to Todd. And of course, can you guys see if I change screens? Please make sure you are subscribed to Catherine's channel, because Catherine and I get in trouble a lot here on this platform, because, I mean, I take it as a compliment, Catherine, because obviously, I mean, I don't know what we're saying that's right, but obviously some theories we have to be pretty accurate for us to be this shadow banned. So make sure you're subscribed to our channels, and please check our channels, because when you're shadow banned, they won't tell you when videos are released. And I can't tell you how many times, Catherine, we have people comment that say, "Oh my God, you're back." And it's like, we've been here.
Yeah, all the time, or Bryce, all the time. I mean, I get so many lovely messages from people saying, I haven't seen you for a couple of years, so pleased you're back. And we're like, no, we've never gone. You just haven't been seeing it. And even when they go and check and they say they're still subscribed, and yet they're not seeing any content. So that's what shadow ban's all about. But we're not going to let it get us down. Bigger things to worry about, and as we're going to be discussing today.
And after yesterday, I'm more pissed than ever to keep pushing forward. We have to address this. Obviously, we had planned this video before yesterday happened. And we can't not address it. And I just want to say my condolences. Last night, Todd, you and I were so upset. Like this of Charlie, let's call it what it is. This is what this is, of Charlie Kirk, is absolutely unacceptable. And, you know, personally for me, there was a lot of Charlie's views that I did not agree with. He was way more conservative than I am, but I always liked him because he was always respectful. He was never disrespectful, and he encouraged debate. He encouraged conversations, respectful conversations with people with different perspectives, so that people could see each other's points of view, which is a civil society. And, you know, the United States of America, our First Amendment right is freedom of speech. And we need to be able to have these. Just because somebody hurts your feelings with their opinion does not give you the right to eliminate them. And I mean, we were texting about it last night, Catherine. The fact that the video is still up speaks volumes.
Graphic video, right?
Very graphic video. It should not. I mean, we were in the kitchen yesterday, or I was in the kitchen doing the dishes, and you were sitting right there on the sofa, and you had your phone. All of a sudden, you just go, "Oh my God, oh my God!" And I was like, "What?" And you're like, "Oh my God, I can't unsee that." And then you told me what happened, and I've seen that with a lot of influencers saying my brain chemistry is now altered from seeing that.
Right.
I want to shout out to, before we get into it, before I get y'all's opinions, I have shared a lot of Democrats, of liberals who have spoken out and said this is unacceptable. And I thank you. I commend you if you are a liberal for speaking out and saying that even though I disagree with Charlie Kirk, this is absolutely unacceptable. Shame on you. That violence should never be the answer. I think there's more to it than that. I think that's my conspiracy mind. I think it was a hit job, especially the accuracy of the hit. But anything you guys want to add to this before we get into it?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to add a couple of things. First and foremost, it's so interesting seeing so many people saying I didn't agree with everything he said, which to me is a completely moot point. I mean, it doesn't matter whether you agree with someone or not. Freedom of speech is freedom of speech. And out of all the countries in the world, America is the one that stands for freedom of speech more than anything else. And as you say, I'm not even overly familiar with all of Charlie's work, but everything I've seen is always, as you said, Bryce, been incredibly respectful and teaching people how to have a debate without insulting and getting offended. And you and I say in virtually every video we record, you know, the sign of an intelligent mind is to entertain an idea without being attached to it.
Yeah.
And I think this is a very sad reality when you see the state of most people now, and it's all by design, in my opinion, that everyone is angry, everyone is defensive. And I do think it ties back to the pandemic era where, you know, the perfect example of divide and conquer. If you can get everyone hating another side, it's just playing straight into their hands, and it's absolutely horrific by anyone's standard. And I can remember when I was a young child, very young child, you know, under 10, my parents put Love Story on the television. It must have been on one Christmas or something, and that's when a woman dies. And I can remember as a child sitting there saying to my parents, this is awful, but there's a point to it. You know, why is everyone getting so upset about one woman when hundreds and thousands and millions of people die in wars every day, you know, and their mouths dropped open, because this is what programming does to people. And like you have both said, the fact that this is all over the internet in that graphic detail, and we've had many other examples of that this week with other propaganda stories, which doesn't mean they didn't happen, is desensitizing. You know, all the youngsters with these computer games, you get desensitized to life, and I think that's an incredibly dangerous place for us to be in.
Yeah, and I will say too, if we have any truthers on here that say he's in witness protection program, you will be blocked. You are a psychopath. You have lost your humanity. You have fallen hook, line, and sinker for controlled opposition, for the Illuma Shmati, as we say. You've fallen for it again. This man lost his life. This is not fake. There were children there, 18, 19-year-old children that saw this happen in front of their eyes. His wife saw it happen. His children saw it happen. If the truther community has caused you to lose your humanity, then you're not a truther. Stop going to these tarot card readers who are lying to you. This is war. We're in a war right now. This is what happens. And you being passive about it and creating stories that aren't true are going to enable the bad guys to continue to get away with this shit. And how smart of these bad guys to make you a psychopath where you think it's all a movie, and so therefore you're not going to stand in the way of anybody else losing their lives. Because other influencers I don't know if you've seen this, Catherine, other influencers have also now been threatened.
Absolutely. And fear is an amazing way to control people. It will control most people very, very effectively. But, you know, when we're aware of that, we can make different decisions, whatever feels right for us as individuals, to do the right thing. And I think, it's just horrific, and it's a terrible, you know, I cannot believe that those videos are still up and out there. I think it's absolutely
crazy.
disgusting.
It's disgusting.
And that's but allowed. You know, we know, all three of us know that they can, at the push of a button, wipe the internet of almost anything they want to.
Right.
So, they've wiped our videos talking about spirituality, and they like this.
I've never seen social media so saturated with graphic violence before until this. Yep. You just really can't get away from it, especially on Twitter.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that leads us, I guess, into it. RIP to Charlie Kirk. I am still in shock. My heart breaks. This is hit very differently. Rest in peace. Thank you for, even though, again, as Kevin said, it doesn't matter. You're a human being. And I know you helped a lot of people. And I think I can speak for all three of us that my condolences go out to Erica Kirk, his wife, who has, I'm going to get emotional, a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old child that watched their father lose his life. So I hope to God that they're getting the therapy, that they're getting the help that they need. And I hope to God that Erica has the support system, I'm sure she does, to help her. I'm sure she's still in shock herself. And so our love and our well wishes go out to her and the rest of the Kirk family. You have a lot of people that love you and they're praying for you. And so we hope that you can recover and that something good comes out of this, that his life wasn't lost in vain. And so with that being said, I was going to make, I know you said you didn't want us to use this as a leeway, but we do have a veil, so we don't know what happens after we lose our bodies. But Todd, do you want to first start? How do you want to start with this, talking about the veil and the Law of One?
Yeah, well, the information I'm going to cover here with the veil is covered in the Law of One, the raw material. And if you go to my channel, The Confused Wanderer, I've already covered first and second density in detail and started to go into third density, which is the density we first experienced, or really only density we experienced, the veil. But to understand how we got into the density we're in now, third, it's good to understand what came before that. And so, first density, I just want to briefly explain sort of the lead into this, briefly explain the process of evolution that we go through as first in a first density planet. We're just basically dirt and water, minerals and water. And through the friction that we experience in first density, we slowly gain a spark of consciousness. And then that leads us into second density, where we become plants and animals. And during those first two densities, we only have what they call, in our complex, we only have a mind-body complex. We don't have the mind-body-spirit complex yet during first and second density.
Well, end of second density, we develop.
What's that?
End of second density, you develop the spirit complex.
Right. Yeah. Yes. Correct. I'm getting to that. So as we get towards the end of second density, we then through all our experiences gain the spirit complex onto the mind-body-spirit complex. And so with that spirit complex addition, we become like a complete fledgling spiritual being at that point. Usually the last life in second density, you get all of your energy centers along with the spirit complex. And then that moves you into the third density experience. And so with that addition of the spirit complex, we also start to be able to experiment with our free will. And so in third density, we have all of our energy centers, and it's just in their potentiated state. We haven't really started to use those yet. So we're like a fledgling spiritual being as we start third density. Really, through our whole third density, we're pretty much that. It's like we're a teenager in a sense. Can
we pause for a second? Because I want to clarify, like at the end of second density, and I talk about this a lot as we watch the second density move from plant to animal life. We see that with the animals that we bring into our homes, that they have their own personalities. They start to experiment with free will within the protection of a third density environment. Like we see that with our dog, Robbie. He starts to, personality comes out. Where with the growth of his, over the many, how many thousands of years do we stay in second density?
The second density is the longest density, and they say it's between 3.5 billion to 4 billion years that we spend in second density. So it takes us that long to start to individualize ourselves in a sense. Yeah, because you're starting to gain self-awareness at the end of second density. Yeah, and with that self-awareness comes the potential for the spirit complex. Yeah, and so once we can become
the shortest, right?
What's that? Third density is the shortest, right? Third density lasts approximately 75,000 years. Shortest density. Yeah. And so, before
we're dumb dogs. Third
What's that?
density. We're dum-dums in third density.
Yeah, and it's because of the veil. And so as we're getting close to the end, usually the last life in second density, like a dog or a horse, it's usually a pet. Yeah, that's been taken care of by third density beings. They gain enough self-awareness to get the spirit complex. Yeah, but you know, there's some planets that move into third density without any interaction. The second density beings don't have any interaction with third density beings, and they say that takes a much longer period of time for them to gain that self-awareness without the interactions between third density beings. So when we're taking care of our animals and we show love and care for our animals, that's actually helped them spiritually evolve. We help to pull them into the third density experience. So there's the planet that goes through first density, second density, and moves into third without any third density beings on it. But then third density starts, and then we have interactions with first, second as third density beings. And so now we're helping to pull the second density beings still here that we coexist with into their third density state.
Can we give an example? Like that would be like giving an animal a name, right? Like that they become self-aware of I am this name.
Right.
Our dog Ravi, we noticed a lot when we adopted him that he would do this thing where he would push his snout into us over and over again, and we couldn't figure out what he was doing. And I think it was you that figured it out that he was kissing us because he felt us kissing him, and he knew it was a sign of affection. And so he will do that. Like if Catherine came over, he would be kissing her, just pushing his snout into her all the time, and it's very purposeful, isn't it?
Right, and how he loves to put clothes on. He gets so excited to put his sweater on when it gets cold. He'll just dive into it, and so that's showing that he's gaining self-awareness. Yeah. So anyway, so we go from second into third. We gain our spirit complex. We have enough self-awareness to start making our own choices, and so during third density, we were talking about the veil. It's the only density where our consciousness is veiled. Now, before that, in second density, we didn't have a veil, but we really couldn't do much about that because we didn't have enough self-awareness to be able to use that lack of veil to our advantage in a sense. Because when we don't have the veil, we have clear awareness of all the subtle spiritual things. We understand our connection with the Creator. We know we're one with the Creator. We can't process that in our second density minds, but that inherent knowing is there. So that's why animals can read people's energy. Yeah, that's why they can see people's energetic bodies. They say that they actually see us as light. They can see all of our energy centers. They can see what kind of light we're emitting, and that's one thing that without the veil we can see. Also, if in second density, if we had some kind of self-awareness and our mind was developed, we could understand the difference between Purusha and Prakriti. Yeah, and that's the one major thing that we can't clearly see in third density because of the veils. We can't tell between the real and the unreal. Yeah, we can't tell the difference between what is not never changing and what's constantly changing. We confuse the two constantly.
So this is for our non-yoga audience members, because that's their Sanskrit. Purusha is basically the soul, and Prakriti is nature. Mm-hmm. So Prakriti is always changing. The soul is never changing, and so we confuse. Right. Like I think I'm Bryce when I'm actually not. Bryce is just the experience of now. Whereas an animal, like we see that, like cats oftentimes will go off to die. Like they just accept it and they go off. Animals see spirits that we don't see. They say like, I don't trust a person who doesn't like dogs, but I trust a dog who doesn't like a person.
Right.
They pick up on that.
Yeah. And that's just very, very subtle examples. There's so much more to not having the veil.
Yeah.
Yeah. And another thing that the veil does is it gives us a false disconnect between ourselves and others, because we're all interconnected. Without the veil, we would experience that at all times. But with the veil, it gives us this false sense of disconnection. And so it's ourselves and other selves. Yeah, and that's what that's doing is that's potentiating our experience. So I'll get more into that in a second. So really, with the veil being dropped over our eyes, over our consciousness, it really sort of dumbs us down. Hey, Ross says that third density is not the density of knowing. We may think we know certain things. We may read spiritual literature, and we may think we know exactly what they're talking about. And, there could be a certain sense of knowing there and understanding, but at the deepest levels of our being, it's always going to be a struggle to remember that material that we read, that truth that we read, and really integrate it. Without the veil, it would all just become natural. We would be able to read each other's thoughts and intentions perfectly without any effort if we didn't have the veil. We would understand our oneness with both each other and the Creator. So it's creating this separation. And that separation is there for a purpose, because it for one, it's potentiating our experience. Without the veil, our experience here on third density wouldn't be so potent. And that's what it's doing. It's bringing this potent aspect to our experience, that separation, and it's testing us. And what it's testing is they call third density the density of choice. And so basically all we're doing here is experimenting with our ability to exercise our free will choice in every situation, whether it's conscious and unconscious. We're constantly making choices, and that choice is pulling us in one of two directions. It's either polarizing us, what they call, to the positive, which is service to others, or it's pulling us towards the negative, which is service to self. And everyone has within them this innate natural drive in one of the two directions. Yeah. And so throughout our lifetimes, because once we start once as a spirit, we come into third density, we're stuck here for the whole 75,000 year cycle. There's no way out other than just finishing it. And so each lifetime, and that's another reason why we can't remember our past lives. The veil is there so we can't remember our past lives. I mean, sometimes maybe there's a little bleed through, maybe if you're working with a psychic or something, there could be a little bleed through, but really you're not going to have the full picture. And that's for a reason. It gives us an opportunity every lifetime to reset. Yeah. And continue heading in our chosen path. And our karma will pull us in different directions to refine certain choices. And so, you could make really bad choices in one lifetime, but then you reincarnate and maybe you'll either build on that, make more bad choices, or maybe start to make better choices. And there's this I think that there's an imprint on your energetic body. And to a certain extent, you could start to feel that pull in one of the two directions. Yeah, service to self or service to others. And so,
can I ask a couple of questions before?
Oh yeah, sure.
Sorry, just because there's quite a lot going through my hands. So, with the energetic blueprint, blueprint that I think more and more even science is starting to acknowledge some of this. Yeah. Is that why some people do have these different abilities? Because obviously some people can read energy much better than others. Others can read auras. Others are very good at telepathy, right. All sorts of different things. Yeah. And also, is this why the so-called Illuminati are so obsessed with the esoteric knowledge and ceremonial sort of magic to try and treat this?
Right. Well, I mean, the psychic abilities, that's getting into a little bit of another subject, because because there's three different types of humans on the planet. There would be the wanderers and the soul people that are native third density, that haven't ever been through third density, or maybe it's their second third density cycle, because there are reasons you can have to redo third density. And then there's the organic portals. So I don't want to get too much into that, but I will get into that just like that, the service to others path has its philosophy of how to best navigate your lives and end up polarizing positive. The service to self side also has their teachings, which in and of itself, because it's service to self, would not be widely distributed. because service to self is all about control, manipulation, and all that. And so they're not gonna share their teachings of the dark side with everyone. They're gonna congregate into a secret group, an elitist group, because service to self is all about elitism, and so the reason why that these groups come together, like the Illuminati, for an example, they're going to be disseminating their teachings of service to self behind the scenes. Yeah, and so that's one reason why these groups come together in secrecy. And so, at the end of the day, your choice is going towards how you're going to serve the one infinite creator. Yeah, because at the end of third density, no longer is it just one clear straight path like we're in here, because in a sense we're all existing together, or we're all serving and mixed together. But as we get into fourth density, the reason why it's important to polarize is because when you don't have the veil, you split, and it's like it's the same reality, but it's two different distinct paths of how you're going to serve the creator. Are you going to serve the creator by serving the creator through seeing yourself as creator, and you're like sort of a demigod? Yeah. And that would be the polarizing negative. Or you're going to serve the creator by serving others. And so that's why it's important that we make the choice with the veil, which is potentiating it. But also it's preparing us to eventually move into another density where we no longer have the veil, and we have so much more power, and to serve the creator in one of two different ways. Now, we can do without the service to self side. We don't need that in this universe at all. Somehow, some way, it formed and became its own path.
But it has to go back in sixth density, and like
right, right. And so the farthest a service to self person entity could go is, I think, halfway into fifth density. But after that, when they go to sixth density, it's all service to others. But it gets a little bit more obscure, and I'm not going to get into that because.
Can we just say that fifth density, for the negative side, they basically have to sit in a corner and think about what they've done?
Right. Yeah, and so they try to avoid fifth density. Service to self spends a lot of its effort avoiding going into fifth density. The greatest power of a service to self being is found in fourth density. And so they try to stay in fourth density. They eventually they ride the razor's edge. They'll do super nefarious things. And when they know that if they go a little bit too far, they're going to slip into fifth density, which they don't want, because fifth density is the density of wisdom, and it's the density of going over all of your lifetimes and all of your actions and being able to process those to come to a full understanding. So your soul will eventually gain that wisdom. And so for fourth density, service to self, their main intention is to stay in fourth.
Because then they have to feel everything in fifth density. They have to feel the pain they cause. They have to feel the suffering that they've done to other beings. And that's what we call the Lizzies. Like the lizard people would be like the fourth density. That's just kind of because that's how we perceive them, in that reptilian type. But that's not exactly what they are.
Yeah, they're not necessarily reptilians. I mean, it's just here on this planet, in our third density, we refer to them as Lizzies. On other planets, there's no reference to Lizzies, and they are shapeshifters. But for us, because we've been programmed to think of them like that, that's how we're just going to see them. That's just the standard term. They're not lizard beings in any way, shape, or form. They're just service to self, negatively polarized spiritual beings.
Like a demon would be another.
Right. Yeah, but they're not even going to look like, they won't even necessarily look like a demon. Yeah, they could look like angels to us. They could come as light beings. So don't be fooled just because a light being comes to you that they're automatically that. It's very unlikely that, we don't have to get into that, but.
So have have we got, so you were saying that this is like a third density planet at the moment.
Yes.
So have we got fourth or fifth density beings here at the moment?
Well, all the densities, so there is no time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we have all the densities here. At this moment, we can coexist with.
Yeah, the veil is there, so we can maybe, like, your hair might stand on end, you might be able to feel them, but you can't because of the veil.
Yeah.
You know, like, from people say, and sometimes, you know, you do have dead dudes too, as they say, there are ghosts, like there are other things too.
Right. Yeah.
But you can't necessarily like make sense of it sometimes because you might feel the presence.
But could they shapeshift into another being's body? So, for example, we could look at someone we might label as a human, or one of my wonder cats, or something like that. They could actually be another density being appearing to me in my filters in a cat's body or a human's body.
Yeah, they could. Right? I don't think they spend a lot of time manifesting in third density because they don't really need to. You know, they may pop in and pop out, but they don't really.
That's what Idris does. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't really need to do that. They could do that to intimidate someone, or they also, but I understand they do that sometimes to make people think that they saw an angel, and it gets them to buy into whatever manipulation that comes after that. People could think there's channelers out there that could see, they would claim to have seen an angel, and then they start channeling when really in reality, that's not how a service to other being would come about to someone. That's an infringement on someone's free will to see a quote unquote angel like that. And so people could get tricked all the time. You have to be really careful with that, you know, and also know, like, I mean, we're spiritual we're like fledgling spiritual beings, you know, in third density. Whether you're a higher density wanderer being or not, we're all subject to the veil, and our DNA makeup is not capable of dealing with the veil lifting. That's why Ross says this is not the density of knowing. It's okay. It's good to study. You know, it's good to want to know. It's good to be curious, and it's good to learn. But understand that we really do not have the capacity here to truly know. When I say truly know, like the veil fully lifting, like that would be such a shock on our system. Now, some people are made, the wanderers can take it a little bit more, and I think that they have bleed through on occasion. But when we're dealing with soul beings in their first or second, third density cycle, they don't have the DNA makeup to be able to take that. And that's totally fine, you know? So there's another thing.
Before you go on anymore, I've got to ask some more questions. There's so much to this. I know you're really familiar, but a lot of us aren't. So hopefully anyone that's watching, I'm asking some of the layperson's questions. Yeah. So putting us into like a third density, hopefully service to others beings questions. Is this where some of the confusion with events that we precede or that we perceive on this planet in our reality that we're seeing now? So like Charlie Kirk last night, or night 9/11 or something. Does this help to explain, Todd, about why some people are so desperate to understand and other people really aren't at all? That would be my first question on that.
I mean, it's in our nature to want to know the truth, but
it's not in everyone's nature.
Yeah, right. It's not in everyone's nature. People. Yeah, no, it's in our nature to know the truth. Some people are just comfortable with the false truths that are given through the mainstream media. You know, they think they're being informed. They want to know. They don't know any better because of the veil. If we didn't have the veil, we would know exactly what was going on. If we didn't have the veil, we would have seen this coming. Yeah. But
so with things like this, what I'm trying to understand is, so if we didn't have a veil, we'd have seen this coming, but someone or something have orchestrated these.
Right.
So where does that fit into the picture? That's where my confusion's starting to come in.
Right. Well,
Does that make sense?
so that gets into a whole nother thing. So for one, with the veil comes a quarantine of our planet, which means that we can't leave the planet, and it's for our own good.
That's all third density.
All third density. No third density planets can leave their planet. We're not smart enough to deal with what's outside of our planet.
Playpen, basically.
We've got enough to deal with here. And so whenever you hear stories about people, third density beings leaving the planet, humans leaving the planet, we've never left the planet. We cannot leave the planet. That's just within the rule book. But with that being said, it doesn't stop all those other beings coming in at all. They can come in and out. They're always here. We can't see them because they choose not to be seen. Now, they're doing their own nefarious things to manipulate us. The service to self side is trying to gain recruits in a sense. Yeah. And they're also, for them, it's sport to play with us, which is really cruel, but they love to play with us.
Because they can't create.
Right. Yeah. And so
say a lot of humans do that to other species.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Yeah.
And so, can we pause on that? She made a good point. Eating meat. The Lizzies eat us. Is that okay that the Lizzies eat us?
No.
And we do it for fun, and we keep animals in cages for our own pleasure, and we keep humans in terrible conditions for our own use. It's not even just other species.
That's
right. So it's
So that's why they're saying it's service to self to eat meat.
Right.
Think about it. Is it fair that the Lizzies eat us?
But with that, let's clarify that. I mean, yeah, it's not good to eat meat. But just because you eat meat doesn't mean that you're gonna polarize negative. Okay, it's more complicated. It's more nuanced than that. So don't think that eating meat every day you're automatically going to polarize. But
that's just an example of where we've been.
It is an example, but I just wanted to make that. I wanted to make that clear. And also something clear is that there is no judge. There is no higher being judging you at the end of third density. This is all about frequency. That's why they call it polarization. They don't call it the judgment. Yeah. At the end of your third density, 75,000 year third density cycle, there's not a judge at the end saying, okay, you're positive, you're negative, you did good, you did bad. It's subtler than that. And it's all about frequency. Ra explains a staircase, and every step is leading you closer and closer to fourth density. Now, at the top of that staircase, there's a threshold there. And it's really, really hard to cross that threshold in the fourth. Yeah. And so that's why we have the veil, is we need a potentiator. So our choices have a more of an impact on polarizing us. And it's only about the way that we can cross that threshold is a vibrational frequency. Yeah. Is how we push past that threshold. There is absolutely no thought, no calculation of past deeds. Those aren't factored in the slightest bit. That's your business. That's your choices. You'll have an opportunity at a certain point in your evolutionary cycle to go over all those past actions and to process all that. But there's no one there judging. The judge, quote unquote, the judge is your energetic signature.
Yeah.
And so when you meet that wall, if your energetic signature says, negative, then you're going to just pop into negative with just as easy as that. If you go positive, you're positive that. Now there's also what they call the gray area in between. You could have gone through your whole third density 75,000 year cycle and really polarized not positive or negative. And what that means is you just go all the way back through another 75,000 year third density cycle, and you're given another opportunity. It's just like, okay, well, you didn't polarize positive, negative. You didn't potentiate your energy centers enough to go anywhere. It's not a punishment. It's just like, oh, well, here's another opportunity. Here's your next 75,000 year cycle. And then you go through it all again with the veil. And then hopefully at the end of that, you would have polarized either positive or negative. But there is absolutely no judge at the end saying, oh, we saw what you did in that lifetime. That's not good. It's all about frequency.
And today's video is sponsored by a small online business that is female run called Fusion Body Studio. This is your at-home fitness boutique. Like, seriously, guys, anything that you could ever want is here on Fusion Body Studio, especially for those of you who are maybe a little bit shy about going to the gym or going to a yoga studio. You can do all of this stuff in the comfort of your own home with a bunch of master teachers, including myself. So there are two prices for Fusion Body Studio. For those of you who just want the opportunity to have an exercise platform at home and nothing else, it's only $25 a month, which is literally the price of a yoga drop-in. If you want a little bit more, like you want to do the workshops and have more of a deeper understanding into movements as a whole, it's $40 a month, because then you get the workshops too on top of the exercises. Still super cheap. And on top of that, if you use my name, Bryce20, all caps, BRIC20 at checkout, you get an additional 20% off your first 6 months. You can't go wrong with that. That's literally like the price of like 1 cup of fancy coffee for the whole month, right? Like 1 cup of fancy coffee will pay for like the whole month for you to have unlimited access to this fitness boutique. So again, if you're interested in joining, use Bryce20 at checkout. On top of that, my friends, you also get the first 7 days for free to try it out. So we hope to see you over on Fusion Body Studio. And with that being said, let's get back to the show.
When you get things like stories, and I'm calling them stories deliberately, like the Mayans just suddenly disappearing into things, do you think this can explain things like that?
Well, yes and no. Like, no one gets out of the 75,000 year cycle early, other than what
they could have been ready. They could have gone.
Well, no, there's no ready or not ready unless you're a wanderer. A wanderer can take a 25,000 year cycle, and they can decide they want to tap out and go back to 6th density or 5th density. But they have to commit to that 25,000 year cycle. So there's 25,000 year cycles in a 75,000 year cycle. And so also a wanderer could go all the way through and complete all 75,000 years. As a soul being, you're not getting out early, because there's no such thing as quote unquote enlightenment.
Yeah.
Because this is not the density of knowing. You're not trying.
What I meant, rather than getting out early, is that it might have been someone might have just witnessed a group of people disappearing through some energetic gateway and never being seen again because they had reached the end of their 75-year cycle.
No, the whole planet is going through its 75,000 year cycle. It started 75,000 years ago.
Didn't something happen with them in the Lizzies? Like, wasn't there something with the Mayans and the Lizzies?
So you're saying everyone on the planet now is at the same stage through their 75-year cycle?
Not everyone. No, there are.
That's what I'm saying. Surely
right.
we're all different.
Well, okay. So there's wanderers here that are here completing, working on karma, working on some karmic
duties,
connection, some karmic anchor they have here in Earth's 3rd density. So there's wanderers, and then there are the native 3rd density soul beings going through their 3rd density cycle, and then there are the organic portals. So
I think you need to explain what a wanderer is. I know we've talked about it from time to time, but a wanderer is basically a person who's already been through 3rd density. They've already finished.
They finished 3rd, they finished 4th, they usually finished 5th, and then they're at their 6th density cycle.
There's a big misconception about wanderers where people think they've come back to help, but we've been corrected by that no, wanderers don't come back to help the planet, because they see the cycle for what it is. So there really is, to help the planet is to let the planet experience what the lessons it needs to experience.
Right.
They come back because they have a duty to come back. They have karma. They have to refine a little bit. So they opt to come back. But once they're done, they don't go through 4th, 5th again. They go back to where they originally were.
And they didn't come back because of their love of 3rd density beings, because when you're at 6th density, it's like beyond the wisdom density. There's no polarization, positive or negative. A sixth density being sees both the same. And so there's no, they're so far removed from third. It would be hard to explain, but it would be like the greatest example of tough love. They wouldn't look down and say, oh, these poor third density beings, I'm going to come down and help them. That's not the mindset. If at that level, there's no more duality between positive and negative. It's this state of being that doesn't see things necessarily like that. I'm sure they can remember their third density experience and their fourth density experience and so on and so forth. But you've probably played both sides by that time, so
I would say it. So I think for people to understand, it's like if you have a child who's in the first grade and they bring their homework, and if you did your child's homework for them every night, that would not be doing service to your child, because and that's kind of, I think, how the wanderers see third density is, I can't really intervene with their lessons here because they have to follow this lesson plan. It's like, don't interrupt somebody's karma. I think that's it. Does that make sense? Like a wanderer is going to look down, or not look down, but see third density as a lesson, as an important lesson. And so when they come back, they're not coming back here to interrupt anybody else's experience or to try to control anybody else's experience. They're simply coming back to deal with some unrefined stuff that they want to take an opportunity to refine again as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah, right. Yeah, and remember, the wanderers that come, they're in the same situation as the third density beings. They could come here with the intentions of working out karma, but they're subject to the veil just like everyone else. So they go through the forgetting process. They don't remember where they came from. You can go on lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, reincarnation after reincarnation through the 75,000-year cycle, and still not remember what you came here for. So they're wanderers. What's that?
What's the point of keep going through these cycles if you don't remember it? And how does that link into that there is some sort of cellular memory?
Well, you will remember it. You will remember everything once the veil is lifted in fourth. It's only in third density that you have the veil. And what I was saying is that the veil is there for multiple reasons, but the major reason the veil is there is it potentiates your choice, because it's creating the false separation between you and others. And so if the veil was not there and we were completely left alone, there was no outside influence by positive or negative fourth density beings, if we were just left on our own and we didn't have the veil, we would probably end up polarizing positive immediately, because we would see other selves as the creator just like ourselves. And so you're giving a newly souled being an opportunity to make a choice. It's a closed book test. It's like, where in your being, after lifetime, what do you magnetize towards? The positive path or the negative path? We're not going to let you see the answers. We're not going to let you necessarily study. We're just going to let you go with this new experience of self-awareness and free will. And through your choices, let's see where you end up in fourth. And so you're making choices throughout lifetimes after lifetime. And eventually, after it's all said and done, you start to realize how your choices magnetized you and pulled you. Yeah. And so it's the ultimate opportunity to exercise free will. It's because you're not having
to exercise free will when there's other people. Okay, so the way my mind works, if we could put this into a real life example, if that would be okay.
Yeah.
So I love my free will. I want to exercise my free will quite seriously whenever I can.
Yeah.
Much to other people's annoyance. But if there could be other people that are going to enforce digital IDs and stop me exercising a lot of my free will.
Right.
Well, I'm getting caught up in that sort of scenario. Can you help me through that a bit?
Well, the people that are trying to give you the ID, force the IDs upon you, are service to self people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're trying to force you into the system. Part of service to self is loving the system. If you think it's like for someone, oh, digital ID, I can't wait to get this, because they feel safe in the system. That's service to self.
Religion would be part of
And also the people forcing that onto you are service to self.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you're watching the service to self side do their thing. And understand that going back to the whole truther thing and thinking that someone's capitulated and someone's giving up, service to self is never going to give up, because that is the service to self way.
To capitulate is service to others.
Exactly, right. And so they'll never give up, especially the ones who understand the service to self doctrine. And those are the controllers. You see, they understand what the game is. They want to polarize service to self. And so when they understand the game for service to self is never give up. And if they ever act like they're giving up, it's just to fool you and to manipulate you to letting your guard down, so then they can do more nefarious stuff to you. So neither side we would never give up our morals. If you think about a service to others person, you'll be faced with situations let's say someone comes to buy you off. Hey, if you quit talking about this, I'll give you $1 million. Inside you would go, hell no. I have morals here. And that's your conviction for service to others. Service to self, they have the same opposite morals. Someone, when they're given the opportunity, oh, you can give up. Oh, yeah, I'll give up.
Give me the money.
But inside, they're like, oh, but I'm going to just act like I'm going to give up because I'm not giving up, because I understand that I'm trying to polarize the negative. And so
Catherine, we have proven that we are service to others because
we have. I was laughing. That's why I'm sniggering, thinking I can't say half the things I want to now. But
right.
Todd, a very serious question. So if someone listening to this which I think most people listening to this are definitely going to be service to others.
Yeah.
Is it a service to others way of being to try and change a service to self person into a service to others?
No, that's just
a waste. In which case, I don't get the game of life. Does that make sense? Guys?
No, it does. You can offer information like we're doing here. We're offering information where someone can make the choice. But if you're trying to force someone into your beliefs, force someone into understanding something they don't want to understand, you would say that would be service to self. Also, something else that's also service to self is trying too hard to polarize. They say that's like too much meditation, too much quote unquote spiritual practice, things like that, is being ambitious to gain polarization.
It has to be a natural longing, right? A natural,
right? Yeah, the pull is with the
service to others is rescuing animals, like where you're doing something for a being that can't pay you.
Right, and that's another thing. I'm glad you brought that up. To be in service to others is really simple and really natural. You're not. When I talked about how there's no judge at the end, no one's saying, oh, wow, you housed and clothed the homeless, you get 100 points. It's not even about it. It's so simple. You see your one of your animals is thirsty, you go get the animal water. That's service to others. You see the water bowl is dirty, you grab it intuitively, you just, it's second nature. That's you exercising your service to others. And so it's not this like the more you strive to serve others, the better grade you get. It's such a subtle thing. It should be, it's like in your nature. It's how you think and feel about others, especially at this point. I mean, we're in our last lives, pretty much. Like we're at the tail end. And it's why things are getting crazy. Both sides are trying to finish you know? And so
it's like traitors, isn't it? All over again, Bryce. It's just like traitors.
The negative side is pushing, more control, more polarization, because they're so ambitious. It's in their nature.
For more freedom, for freedom of speech, for people to live and let live. And it's that dichotomy of friction between the two.
And it's not going to stop until we switch over to fourth density. That's the whole thing. Like, get used to it, because it's only going to keep getting heated up until we cross the threshold into fourth. And they say this is normal. This is a normal pattern. Life is like this in third density. Shit, they say you're lucky to not blow your planet up towards the end of third density. It's not uncommon that it gets so bad that the planet just is destroyed. And that's what I think that's another reason why third density is only 75,000 years, because a planet can't take
We're dangerous.
The planet can't take more than 75,000 years in third density. It's common for it to get polluted and nature to get destroyed and people to end up in huge fights. It's because there's mixed density. There's the positive trying to do their positive thing, and there's the negative trying to do their negative thing, and it's just going to clash. The positive people are going to hold to their morals. The negative people are going to try, no, here you're going to be stuffed into the system and you're going to shut up. It's just part of it. It's part of the game.
I'm so service to others that if you keep seeing me look outside, it's because a massive storm's hit and my guinea pig's shed doors open. So
no.
Don't get wet, guinea pigs. Don't worry, everyone. Don't panic. It's just a little bit might go into them. So based on all that, I'm just going through my code. Based on that, is it worth even us getting upset over some of the atrocities that are happening in the world? That's where I start to get confused.
No, you want to fight. You want to push back. I mean, if it wasn't for pushing back, we wouldn't have the Constitution. We wouldn't have the Constitution. We have it. Look, people. I think people commonly think I was even under this illusion that after third density and fourth density and above, that there's no more battles and there's no more friction. Friction just exists as long as there is service to self path as well as service to others. There's going to be friction, and it's okay to enter into conflict. Conflict is not against the rules. A conflict is not against service to others' path. You're going to have to fight. You're going to have to stand up for yourself. You're going to have to stand up for your morals. You don't want to go out and intensely start wars, but when someone comes in and challenges your ability to exercise your free will, you have to push back, because that is service to others.
Fight, you end it.
The system is service to self. And for you to surrender to the system is service to self. Yeah.
What sort of sicko would design a game like this? Why would any, in terms of, the law of one and the raw material, but who or what came up with these rules, if that makes sense?
The one infinite creator, and the rules are always...
We did. We were fractal of the illusion. Yeah. Exactly.
And the rules are always shifting and changing. It's the creator wanting to experience itself, and that part is hard to. That would be another whole show,
because we don't know, right? We're not in the density of knowing. So.
Exactly right, yeah. So there's always going to be some confusion there here in third density, and I understand the question of why would it be like this, but once the veil is lifted, we'll understand that.
Yeah, I just can't think. It's not someone I'd want to invite to my dinner party. Like, you've got to be quite a sicko too.
They say at the other side of it, you sort of laugh.
Yeah, they say when they say for wanderers to come back, it's no big deal. They're like, oh, it's just like a weekend workshop. It's fine.
Right.
Get here and you're like, what the fuck is happening?
75,000. They say 75,000 years for a 6th density wanderer to come down is like equivalent of like a 2-week wellness retreat for one of us in third density. They say they commonly
parasite cleanse. I think we're on a big parasite cleanse.
Right. Yeah. They say they commonly come back and they pop back into 6th density and are just like, Oh my God, what was that?
They want to do it again. What we've learned is that a lot of wanderers think it's sport. They think it's hysterical. It's fun. It's entertaining to come back to third density. When you get in third density, you're like, what's happening because of the veil? But when you come back up, you're signing up to do it again. It's like a roller coaster ride, and it's entertaining.
And they call
that to me is like pheasant shooting.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't see how anyone who's serviced herself in sixth density could be ended. That's like people going off trophy hunting lions to me. Like you're having
for the wanderers to come back.
Devise.
It's the wanderers coming back to third density because at sixth density you're neither service to others or service to self because you've merged again, but you're coming back to refine your karma and to like work on things. And it's hysterical. That's why it's so funny because we're here and we're like, oh my God, when's this going to end? But for the wanderers, once they get out of the veil again, they're like, that was fun. Let's sign up again.
But also, they say that the wanderers are what are the real super soldiers. Yeah. And so they're here.
There's no such thing as a super soldier. That's all junk conspiracy. That they're lying.
Super soldier is a wanderer, and so wanderers come here to really sort of help, in their own way, protect the third density cycle. There are periods of time where because from what I understand, their wanderers would groups will come in for periods of time and then they'll leave and there will be fewer wanderers and they come in cycles, in and out in cycles. And during the cycles that they're gone, we had things like the plague,
the Inquisition
and things like that. And those are periods of time where a lot of wanderers pulled back and let third density beings exist without so much wanderers and experience what it's like without them. And then they come back in and things sort of calm down again because they're there as almost like decoys, because they're a huge threat to the fourth density service of self that are coming here to meddle with our third density cycle. And so when wanderers are here, they attract the fourth density Lizzies. And so they pull them away from messing with the people that are just in their first third density cycle. And so they're the real like soldiers here. And they don't even have to realize it, that they're soldiers. They're, like I said, they're just like a decoy. And the Lizzies don't really mess with soul people when the wanderers are here, because they're focused on the wanderers. The wanderers can create the biggest changes on the planet. They can take the public figures that change the direction that whole communities or countries are. They just create movements.
Well, let's take Charlie Kirk, for example.
Most likely a wanderer.
Well, most likely a wanderer. Now, some of his beliefs, his third density beliefs, I don't agree with, but that's just a belief of third density.
And that comes from the veil.
That comes from the veil. So like he was extremely religious. That's a veiled belief, but his moral compass was aligned positive. So look at what Charlie Kirk was doing. He wasn't hurting anybody. He was being super respectful, but he was pushing back against the system and challenging it in respectful debate. He was helping other people, but he was tough love, right? He didn't coddle, but he was very respectful. And he did change the course of things. He is part of the reason why we'll say, because we're on YouTube, the red team had a sweep, right? And he was such a threat.
And see, a quintessential wanderer is a perfect example. Quintessential wanderer. They went after him. See, he was like the decoy. And so that's how wanderers are attacked. It's like they're going to go in, and when you start to exhibit that fire and passion and charisma, and that tough love stance that wanderers bring in, that freaks them out. That freaks the service to self out. Both the ones that are trying to polarize service to self, but especially the Lizzies, the fourth density, freaks them out. And so you got both sides coming after the wanderers. And so I'm sure Trump is a wanderer as well. Am I allowed to say his name?
I can compute it. Well, and let's say too, like for example, we've learned like wanderers. So a lot of times sold people will start to lecture wanderers. Wanderers are going to probably struggle financially a lot. They get hit a lot. Everything's happened to wanderers. Wanderers will go through an attack after an attack after an attack after an attack. There's certain things that happen to wanderers that don't necessarily happen to souled people.
Very rarely happen to souled people. Sold people, like I said, they're basically left alone. The Lizzies don't really mess with them much, And so for a wanderer, their lives are just constantly like
a battle zone.
Battle zone. You can never get away from it.
Battle zone. So if you take a battle zone that's happening now, there must be some wanderers within that battle zone, surely.
Yeah. Most definitely. Yeah.
There are no wanderers, and they talk about.
There must be some soul people there, because if you're saying they more lead soul people alone, but they can be collateral damage, I'm assuming.
They can. Oh yeah, for sure.
Lesser attack, like wanderers will get full on attacked. Like we're talking magic. Yeah. We're talking like
huge smear campaigns, like people like literally trying to completely take you out.
Royal wanderer.
For the regular soul people, they'll get sort of pushed to the side. Swatted a little bit, but also, another reason why wanderers are attacked so much is because for a fourth density service to self being, they are able to gain so much more power from taking a wanderer down, because you got to understand that this is a game of polarization.
Yeah, so it's energy. That's that energy,
right? And so there is the whole pyramid system and the hierarchical system is so strong in the service to self world. All their densities. It's all about. So they're infighting.
Pyramids are bad. It's just a structural system,
right? And so they're fighting us here. They're fighting with wanderers here, but they fight amongst themselves as well, and they're constantly trying to one up each other. And so when they're able to polarize more strongly by taking out a wanderer, they're going to rise higher on the pyramid scheme and gain more power. But remember, like I said, at the tippy top, they don't want to polarize so much that they shift over to fifth. So they're not trying to get out of fourth, they're trying to rise to the top in fourth. And so there's so many complexities here to understand, and it could really help you start to understand the world around us and how the service to self side here in third density, how they orchestrate things. It's good to understand the service to self side. It's good to understand it as well as you understand the positive side. Absolutely. Because it starts to give you an insight into how they act in that, it's all.
So I'm pausing on that. Todd, you've been awake since 2001. Actually, today, the date we have today is what really woke you up.
Right.
4 years ago? Right?
Yeah.
And so you went down this world of conspiracy, of trying to figure things out. That's how you found the law of one, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Now that we have so many people awake, I say that in quotation marks, would you say that the truther community as a whole is positive, polarized positive or negative?
They've created their own system, so I would say negative.
Yeah. Would you say that 99% of the truthers are actively service to self?
I don't know about that. I hear.
Let's talk. Let me back up. I'm not talking about like Charlie Kirk. I'm not talking about.
You were talking about the Q-tards.
I might have to bleep that word. Yes, I'm talking about like these conspiracy channels that are telling people the white hats are in control.
Right. Well, they obviously are exhibiting the veil.
Yeah.
And not understanding. Also, they're positive, negative, I don't know. Even the best intentioned service to others, people can get wrapped up in some weird stuff. So, and that's fine, and that's understandable. There's so many cul-de-sacs you can get stuck in on the way.
Catherine, do you know what? Understand what I'm asking him? These people who have channels, the ones that have lied about having their channels taken down off of YouTube.
Oh yes, they are service to self 100%.
In fact, they might even be underground, which that could be a totally different.
I would be careful with that. Yeah.
Well,
You're going to edit that out.
No, we've talked about undergrounders before. It's fine.
Oh, you have?
Yeah, it's
You
fine.
know,
I've already been through, I mean, basically like the shit I've been
look,
through.
yeah, the main thing is to understand you really have to study the dark side.
Yeah.
It's important. People like shy away from, I don't want to get into that dark stuff. And I mean, I understand you don't need to understand the sacrifices and all that stuff. And I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about the ways of the service to self side, that they're never going to surrender. It's all about manipulation and control. They serve the system. They are the system. So I can't say they necessarily serve the system. They are the system, and they're trying to force the system on you, and to understand the ways that they force it on you, and understand the ways of their manipulation, and how they want your guard down to believe that you're going to be a millionaire overnight because they're going to send a debit card in the mail and Nisara, Jasara, all of that. That's they're going to serve you hopium constantly to get your guard down, but to know that it's not in their nature. It's not in their spiritual path. Let's call it like it is. It's a spiritual path for them. Just like service to others is a spiritual path for us, and to want to know truth and to want to see everyone experience prosperity and freedom and all that, they are the opposite of that. It's just like, take it and just flip it and understand that they are as convicted as we are. We won't give up our morals, and they won't give up their lack of morals.
So basically what I'm asking for the people watching, all of these like spiritual readers in the truth of the world saying, oh, the white hats are coming, it's all taken care of, it's all a movie. They're lying to people intentionally. Now it's your free will choice whether you believe them or not. And if you free will choose to believe them, they're pulling that life force from you as you get sicker, as you get poorer. And this is all intentional, because that's their spiritual path.
And also understand, getting back to that, if someone has to use tarot cards, they're not a real psychic.
No. The raw and the Cassiopeians are like, tarot cards are not for psychics.
Right.
If you're a real psychic, if you really have spiritual abilities, you don't need tarot cards. Those are for people. They actually laugh at tarot card readings. Like, people who read tarot cards are the least psychic among us, is what they say. They have no psychic abilities whatsoever.
Yeah.
So I would highly suggest people read
also, you've only got to look at, everyone can pick the same card and come up with a completely different meaning for it and interpretation of it. Right. And that again is the free will, and whether people are using it as a tool to tune in what they're saying otherwise. It's like, I could do healing on a horse very easily, and I don't need my red lights to do it. But if the belief system of the person I'm working with wants a tool to do it with, but there's a lot of manipulation out there. And I think if people are not taking an active interest in both sides of the equation and are just blindly wanting to be told, like little 5-year-olds being told when they can go to the loo and not, then that tells you very clearly probably who's leading you.
Yeah.
That's right. And we are also an energy exchange, third density. So if you have not earned money, you're not going to get money like that. And med beds are service to self.
We have that ability within us.
Absolutely.
Exercise and sun. Exercise and sunlight. 80% of our health is affected by sunlight and exercise. 20%. 20% is
sun.
What's that? Oh, they're blocking out the sun.
Out the sun. Yeah.
Right.
That's why, right? To dumb us down,
exactly.
20% diet, 80% actually moving your body, moving your vital organs, and getting that sun. And so people who don't want to do that, who just want to be lazy and they want some med bed, that's service to self. That's not putting effort in. And immortality, wanting that immortality is service to self. It's not service to others, because you have to have faith with service to others. There has to be a faith there of an everlasting soul.
Right. And also you have to exercise your God-given ability to claim your health. No one owes you health. No one owes you energy, which is service to self, wanting someone else's energy, which is wanting someone to come and save you. Nisara, Jasara.
It's vampirism.
Yeah. Wanting someone to give you something that's inside of you. You have the power to attract those things through your work.
So
You
you're,
know, and
well, I want to acknowledge that yes, we know that the financial system we live under in all of our countries is absolutely negative, but that does not mean that Nisara and Jasara is positive. Two things can be true. Both of these are negative. Both of them
right,
are.
yeah,
And so, do you have any more? I know we've been going a while.
It's a long while. I suppose my final question to both of you really would be, some people will know a lot of this. Some people will resonate, some people it won't. But a couple of bits of practical advice for people from what you've covered today, I think would be really helpful. Right? If
yeah.
they're finding it all a bit confusing about, okay, where to start, where to
Well,
take.
yeah. So I would say the most important thing for us to do in third density is to get inside of our bodies as best we can and to be as human as possible.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all that we're here. That's all. The only reason we're here for is that. Get in our bodies, be human, make mistakes, whatever. It doesn't take meditation, seated meditation. It doesn't entail getting enlightened and ascending. None of that. It's just being as human as you can and follow your natural instincts to serve others or serve self. Figure it out. Make the decisions and go about your life. That's it. You don't even have to get involved in politics. You don't have to get involved in any of that stuff. Do some self-study. Do some study of some, yoga practices, the simple stuff, the stuff that gets you in your body, helps you become more human and reclaim your health on your own. And that's it. It's not much more complicated than that. If you're here as a souled person in third density, and this is your third density cycle, and you're not a wanderer, it's not that complicated.
The soul people are the lucky ones. The wanderers are not the lucky ones. I have one final question, Todd. We see so many people saying, "I'm already in the fifth dimension."
Whatever.
Yeah, that's delusional. Is that service to self delusion? Wishful thinking?
It's just delusion. It's just funny. We're in third density. There's no way to get out of it. There's no way to fake it. There's no way to leave early. It is not the density of knowing for anyone. No one's going to come here in a third density body and be able to know shit. We got the veil. All of us have the veil. We came here. We came. There's no one that does not have the veil here in third density. They can claim that to you, but it's not true. They're just lying, and that's service to self. Like, it's okay to be ignorant. It's like nice own it. It's like own it, and we can all just be humble and understand we're all on the short bus. Taking a ride off a cliff.
Y'all have the short bus in the UK.
I don't know if they have that.
Brilliant. Oh, I've really enjoyed that. Anyway, I'm going to go and rescue my guinea pigs from the rain now.
Yeah, okay. Absolutely. Well, if you have to sign off, Catherine, go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and advertise because, Todd, you're going to be doing multiple
Good to talk to you, Catherine.
I'll see you soon, folks.
Okay.
Bye.
So Todd, you're doing multiple episodes over third density. You've done one. You're doing multiple episodes because there is so much to this. There's so much. And so you're breaking it down. You got third density here. You've got first and second, which are just kind of back up to third, so we understand how we got to third. And you're going to be doing like an episode on the service to self path versus the service to others path. You're going to be doing an episode about the three types of humans here: the organic portals, the souled people, and the wanderers. Yeah. All that kind of stuff.
Then I'm going to go into a lot of other stuff. So I just, it's important that people have, the foundational understanding of first density, second density, third density. So we understand where we've come from, and then, understanding the dynamics of third density really well, because that's important, because that's where we are now. And then we could start to talk about, going out into fourth density, because I think it's good to start understanding the dynamics of fourth density. And so
you're going to get to some drama too, right?
Yeah, that'll eventually come. And I don't want to give
my channel knows that I am not a fan of Laura Knight, who is your cousin. Yeah. I appreciate the Cassiopeia material, but I am really not a fan of her. I've been telling you for a while that there's something wrong with this woman. Right. I've been very open about it on my channel, that two things can be true. I can be grateful for her putting out material, but I can also call
Yeah.
bullshit when I see bullshit.
Right.
When I smell a rat, I smell a rat. And I made it very clear earlier last week that I do believe she is service to self. I do not believe she is service to others.
Right.
We're even going to get into like the only people who can actually channel are wanderers. And there's a reason for that. He'll get into that. There's an absolute reason for that, and also gets into blood.
Well, I mean, I hear you. Only people that can channel wanderers, but you can also steal a wanderer's ability to channel. A soul person can steal the wanderer's ability to channel,
which is service to self.
Right. Yeah. So we're going to get into that stuff. That eventually, yeah. So my channel is set up to. It's like right now. I'm laying the foundation of a launching pad.
But I'm giving my audience like what's to come. You're going to get into like there's particular blood types that can only hold a wanderer versus a souled person. So the blood types actually do indicate. It doesn't mean one's better than the other. Right. Because time doesn't exist. It just means and that's why they check our blood a lot.
Yeah.
Their kids to see, why the system wants to know what blood type we are. So anyway, but you guys please go and subscribe. We're also, should we let people know, because of everything I deal with on this channel, we are going to be putting some videos over on the Confused Wanderer as well. To help with what's happening with Esoteric Atlanta. So please make sure, even if you're not interested in any of this Law of One stuff, if you like some of my other videos, please make sure that you are subscribed for that purpose. He'll have a playlist, which is Esoteric Atlanta stuff as well. So, all right, you guys. Well, thank you, Todd.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I enjoyed that.
I'm going to turn this off and then go have lunch with you in the next room. So,
okay. All right. Sounds good.
Bye, everybody.